Welcome to part one in a multi-part series where I'm going to be talking about pigments and all the different things that you can do with them. In particular, I'm going to be using MAC Pigments. This guy right here is chartreuse. It's a chartreuse color. Go figure. Each video will be going into depth and all the different things that you can do with them. This video, part one, which you're watching now, will be talking about using pigments as eye makeup. I'm going to talk about using them as eyeshadow bases, as eyeliner, as mascara, and then pressing them. So yeah, that's a lot to talk about, so I should actually shut up. So, shut up. Me. You can apply pigments dry or wet, and applying them wet will usually help intensify the color. In some cases it will just help it to remain true to what you see in the container. It will help them to adhere to the skin better though, and also last longer. And all you do to apply them wet is get your brush wet with any of the mixing mediums that I talked about in my intro to MAC Pigments video, which if you haven't seen, check out right there. The mixing mediums that I talked about included MAC's water-based mixing medium, plain water, Benefit Shellac, Aveda's eyeshadow transformer, and I think lube was mentioned, but I don't know anything about that. But it doesn't matter what you use. To use a mixing medium and apply your pigments wet, all you do is put a little of whatever it is on your brush, dip it in the pigment, put it on your skin, there you go. Applying them this way will also help you to use them as a creamy eyeshadow base. Personally, if I'm using pigments as an eyeshadow base, I favor taking a bit of the product, putting it on my palette, adding a drop of mixing medium, and then blending it with my palette knife into a paste that I can then apply to the skin. I just like the consistency better. It gets rid of any of the lumps, and just, I don't know, I just like the way it works. But you can do it however you'd like. And like I said, it will help the pigment to adhere to the skin and help the color really pop a lot more with most pigments. Now, some pigments don't actually respond very well to the wet technique. Matte pigments, for example, when you get them wet, dull down and darken and just turn kind of blech. Which, if you're using a neon pigment and you really want that bright color, kind of sucks because it just sort of goes and you don't get anything out of it. Now, you could try and make a paste like I was talking about before and applying them that way, but again, because they're wet, they're just kind of going to dull down. When they dry, matte pigments do actually lighten up, and they do turn into something that resembles more like the color that you saw in the container when you thought it was so cool and picked it up. But when they dry like clay, and so they have a tendency to crack and sort of fall off the skin, and it just makes a big mess. Unfortunately, they also don't apply very well dry. When you put them on the skin dry, they sort of just fluff off and go into oblivion. I'm making them sound like a big pain in the ass. That's because they are. If you'd like to use them though, if you're attracted to some of the matte colors, because they are really cool, my advice to getting around the whole matte pigment frustration is using a white eye pencil. This one's Fascinating by MAC. It's just a regular white. You can see there, it's bright white. Using a pigment over this will give something for the matte pigment to adhere to. It's flexible, so it's going to bend with your skin, if that makes sense, but it's not wet, so it's not going to darken the color. Also, since it's just plain white, it will help the color pop more. It's not blending with the color of your skin or any other product that you've got on. It's really going to help it just stand out. You can really see the difference between the three techniques, whether you're applying them dry or wet or over a white eye pencil, in the picture of Red Electric under a black light. And I know it's a little blurry. It's not the best photo that you've ever seen of anything, but it's really hard to take a picture under a black light of something. It was very difficult, but I tried because I'm that kind of guy. You can also use pigments to make your own eyeliners and mascaras. MAC makes two particular mixing mediums. They have a lash mixing medium and an eyeliner mixing medium that you can use to make a gel eyeliner, or this is basically their Pro Long Lash in a colorless formula, and you can mix any pigment with this and use it for a colored mascara. They are only available at MAC Pro. Anyone can buy from MAC Pro. I've said this before. If you're curious to try it out but don't want to track these down though, you can do the same thing with just a plain old clear mascara or brow set. Take a little bit of this, mix it with your pigment, and then you have a colored paste that you can apply on your eyelid as a gel eyeliner or on your eyelashes, because this can go on your eyelashes just fine. I actually personally favor using MAC's Clear Brow Set as an alternative to their eyeliner mixing medium. I find that it's glossier. It doesn't crack as much. If you mix too much pigment with this has a tendency to sort of crack as it dries, and it's kind of icky. But this stays kind of creamy and nice, and I just like the consistency of it. And just a quick tip on using colored mascara. If you really want the color to pop out, try applying it over MAC's Prep and Prime Lash, which is just sort of a white, creamy mascara product. It looks like this. I actually don't really like this very much. I have just never gotten the hang of using it personally. When I put it on and then use a mascara over it, I find that it just looks clumpy and icky and blech. But if you want colored mascara that really pops out, this is the way to go, because it will lengthen the lashes and give them a little bit of a white base to allow the colored mascara to really, really stand out. But it will get a little bit clumpy if you put a whole lot on. If you're doing something for stage, which is mostly what I do, and it's going to be seen from a great distance, then it doesn't really matter. You're just going for some bright, bright, bright eyelashes. This is pretty cool. Now, since pigments are basically just loose powder color stuff in a jar, you can blend them with other pigments to make all kinds of other colors. Colors like pink opal, which is this one right here, and white gold, which is this one here, or deep blue green, this guy, and blue brown right here. Anything with a duochrome in it, something that has a really cool kind of opalescent quality, is great for mixing with other pigments. It's going to totally change up the color, the texture, the finish. It's going to make it look really cool. Mixing pigments is also helpful for working with matte colors. If you take something like pink opal and you mix it with marine ultra, which is a matte, it creates a nice sort of plumish, opalescent blue sort of shadow that's really, really pretty, and it applies just like any other eyeshadow. It doesn't, it's no longer a matte pigment, so you can put it on your skin all day long and it's kind of going to stay there, which is really, really cool. Now, for those of you who either love or missed out on the mineralized eyeshadows that came out with Style Black, you can actually dupe these using Dark Soul pigment, which is now available at counters. It's a black with sort of a silvery gold shimmer to it. If you mix Dark Soul with any other pigment, you're going to basically get these. You can also brush it on top of any eyeshadow that you have, and you're going to get basically these. So if you missed these, if you love them and you want to try them again in different colors, or if you have problems using mineralized eyeshadows, because I know a lot of people do, myself included. I can't use these around my eyes without getting a lot of irritation and sort of watering and red eyes. I know that that's really common, so using Dark Soul is a cool alternative to trying out some of these, because these are really, really neat. And then once you've mixed up something you really, really like, you can press it into a pan and put it in your palette. I'm not going to show you step-by-steps on how to actually press these into pans, because there are so many videos already showing you how to do that. Just search for pressing loose eyeshadows or pressing pigments and you'll find a whole bunch of them. I'll give you a couple tips though. To start, you're going to need, besides your product and the pan, some sort of mixing medium. And you can use something like Easy Press. That I got this from Coastal Scents. The label fell off of it a long time ago. It's like all kinds of silicones and a bunch of other stuff in some like creamy thing. It turns all gross when you shake it. See that? Ew. It works fine. Honestly though, rubbing alcohol I think works better, and it's cheap and readily available just about anywhere. Good thing that wasn't open, I would have just dumped it all in my eye. If you like the little finish that eyeshadows have where it looks all woven and kind of pretty, which I do because I'm kind of weird and anal that way, just take a piece of fabric. I use an old shirt and wrap it around a quarter and tamp it into the eyeshadow pan, and then you get that nice woven finish, and it just makes them look kind of neat and professional. So yeah, that's it. And I think that that's it. We did eyeshadows and eyeshadow bases and matte pigments and white eye pencils and style black eyeshadows and clear mascara and mixing mediums and pressing things, and chartreuse is chartreuse. Stay tuned for part 2, which is going to be talking about using pigments as lip color. Alright, that's it. I will see you soon. Take care. Drive safe.